Thank you. Thanks for everybody. Thank you for coming. So yes, here's our beginning slide just so you can verify for me. And if you want more information as well as we continue learning, that slide, the little QR code that you just took a picture of, you'll be able to get the slides. So if you didn't take a picture and you want the slides, if you just hold up your phone, it should be able to give it to you. I also think that they are allowing you to have the slides as well, but in case you want them later on. So I'm really excited to be here together with you. I'm just so passionate about wellness and all that we do and being able to share that with all of us, including ourselves, because as caregivers, it's important for us to be able to have our well-being as well. So a little bit about COSM. So the Coalition of Schools Educating Mindfully. This is an organization, it's a nonprofit, and so what we do is anybody who is passionate about integrating mindfulness and well-being in schools, that is our membership group that we have. And so even parents and families, you are more than welcome to also take a look at that and also maybe share with your child's teachers as well, because maybe they're also passionate about exploring this as well. Also on the slides, anything that I have on here that's a picture is typically a link. So you can always go and find out more information by clicking the picture, but this is also educatingmindfully.org, so that you can find out more information there. And for our time, I always like to offer agreements because we're creating this space together for our learning. And so we want to make sure that we are listening, sharing with an open heart, meaning we are all coming from different backgrounds. We all have different experiences, so making sure that we honor all of that we have. We want to take risks and ask questions because maybe something that I share with you, maybe you've done before, maybe you haven't done before. So I will ask for a little bit of risk taking today. Be present and engage. So there will be some time for you to be able to engage as well. And then celebrate in regards to your own child and allowing them the opportunity to celebrate. So then my question for you is, what agreements are important for you and your family? Have you ever thought about even creating agreements as a family? Especially for any age, really, and our teens, like, do they feel like they have these agreements with you? And when you have different types of conversations mindfully, do we have a safe space for them? And do they feel that? So maybe this is an invitation for you to maybe create some agreements with your child. I wasn't sure if we were going to be having our family members with us today, so I was going to invite you, if you wanted to even think about that together. So maybe you have that as a little action item later today. Oh, actually, these are some questions to think about as we kind of guide our learning. And I like just the take two, and that can also be a strategy as well at home, because maybe you just want to take two as a family. So maybe you have a question and you want to take two. So for us, how do you support strong emotions? So when your child's coming home from school, something happens, how are you supporting? What strategies do you have? Do you integrate wellness into your family's daily routines? And if so, how and what does that look like? And have you noticed any changes since the pandemic? I know at the keynote that we were just listening to as well, there were some different components that were brought in from the pandemic and the changes and shifts that even they brought up today. So just take about a minute, maybe jot down a couple of ideas. I heard that there is a pen and a notepad in your bag, so feel free if you want to just see what comes to mind for a moment. Or just think about it and just notice which question even resonates with you. Also think about, like, with that, maybe you resonate with some of these. So I've been talking with a lot of different teachers, parents, my own friends and everything as well, but some of these comments keep coming up. Like, we went from 0 to 100 and it's like we haven't caught up yet. I feel like there is so much time spent on devices. I do not feel connected to my child. Plus, they're missing the window moments. This one was meaning when they're even driving places, that they're missing looking out the window. So I thought that one was a really interesting one that came up. I've noticed a change in my child's behavior at school, and they are a lot more impulsive. I've been getting more calls from her teacher, and I don't know what to do. Since going back to school, meaning after the pandemic, my child has mentioned that they feel stressed and anxious, and honestly, I am too, and I'm pulled in every direction. It's like we have erased part of history as if it never happened, but my family and teen are still feeling the impact of the pandemic, and many others. Like, I don't know, do you have any that have come up for you that you just want to like shout out real quick of just like what you're feeling? Or if you're just, I see a couple of head nods out there too. So we're in a lot of different places, right? And so through creating a mindful heart ourselves, we can start creating the mindful home, and really home expands outward as well. So what if you could increase your families? I like to call all of these RCs, right? So connection, communication, curiosity, compassion, celebrations, caring, and coping. All of these directly connect to that compassion side. And so today what we're gonna do is we're gonna take apart each of those, and you're gonna walk away with some strategies here today, okay? So I want to connect on a common definition around mindfulness, because all of us, again, we come from different backgrounds of what that means. So I want us to have a common framework here, especially I'm going to put on the lens of like within schools, okay? So mindfulness means being fully present here and now with our body, breath, emotions, and thoughts. We want to stay curious and open. Now, if we take this type of definition and we like apply it in all that we do, like we're having conversations with our child at home, how can we continue to stay curious about what they're saying instead of judging what they're saying? Like continue just to ask questions in that space of curiosity, right? How can we be aware of what our bodies are telling us? Because our bodies are always communicating with us. Like even right now, if we were to just tap into our own, like you might notice, okay, well maybe I chose to sit this way, or maybe I chose to sit this way. Maybe I'm sitting back or sitting tall. Like your body is always communicating with you. And so if we can tap into our own and also see what's happening within our child, that gives us different messages on how we can create space together. Bless you. And just briefly, I wanted to share with you just the benefits of mindfulness, again, so we have a common background of where this is. And again, you can click on the different links and it'll give you just that background information as well. But time and time again, the research is showing that it does reduce stress. My own personal story in regards to my own heart. My heart was beating strange rhythms. I was having panic and anxiety. And it wasn't until I started practicing. Now, in the beginning, I didn't. I was like, nope, I don't want anything to do with mindfulness. But then when I started prioritizing myself and integrating these different types of tools in my own life, when I went back to the doctor and my EKG report came back, it was average. And they're like, what are you doing? I said, I am practicing these different types of wellness tools in my life. And it clearly had evidence in my own personal life there. So that's why I really strongly believe in that. It improves sleep patterns. So again, the keynote was just talking about the disrupted sleep. Through mindfulness, even just those shorter practices, that might help offset the sleeping patterns that some of our youth are having. Her working memory and resilience. The similar types of results are also for our children and youth, and then some. Specifically, focus and anxiety and stress are reduced. The same parts of our brain for trauma as well as within mindfulness, it's almost like if we've had some form of significant event or traumatic experience, the parts of the brain that are activated, practices within the mindfulness space help reduce those activated parts in the brain. It's pretty powerful. Any questions or ideas so far before I kind of keep going here, or anything you want to contribute if some of you have different backgrounds in it? No problem. So I always like to remind ourselves that children reflect the nervous systems of the adults around them. I want to say that again. Children reflect the nervous systems of the adults around them. So what do you think, what does that mean to you? I'm going to ask you to take a risk. Like,
Stories talk and talk, like they mirror, they replicate what they see.
That replication piece. What else? And that's outward, right? Like if I'm walking and talking, that's an outward thing. But if we think about the nervous system, I may or may not see that, right? But I can feel that. So that's why I've said multiple times already, your well-being, if anything, you take care of you, which means your nervous system will be more regulated. And just by you being you in that space with that more regulation, your child picks up on that and they will mirror that. So if anything, any micro moment that you can have to bring more of that regulation for you can have a significant impact. That also goes, I don't know if any, I guess I should ask this. How many of you have like high school age child or like high school, okay, middle school, okay, elementary school, okay, and early learning? Okay, adult. So I'm gonna go with our littles for a moment there. They're having a tantrum for a moment. If you approach with that regulation, can I just pretend for a moment? Yeah. And I just say, breathe with me, right? And I'm regulated and you're regulated, and I'm not telling you, you need to take a breath. Nope, I'm saying, breathe with me. And we can breathe together, right? And just by us regulating like that can help reduce some of those different higher level emotions, right? Older, we have to kind of approach in that space, like maybe both of my feet are attached to the ground right now, and that allows me to be able to just have more of that awareness piece. So when I'm with our older kids, I have my body in a different type of posture because it helps me to be more present with them. We'll find out more in a bit. But this is my favorite quote, and it reminds me of the importance of our health. So just think, maybe again, take note, because that'll help you reflect later on, even after today. How is your nervous system lately? Is your nervous system feeling really activated, or are you feeling like it's more of this space of being able to be present with yourself and your child? What are your children reflecting back? That's a very good indicator for our own nervous systems so that we can make an adjustment too. And then how are you supporting your well-being and your presence as a parent or caregiver? So maybe just take a moment to notice. Maybe even that first one is like on a scale. You can create your own scale. And just notice. So I will model for a moment. There's a tool that it randomly came up for me as I was practicing. It's called a 5-step moment. And these are a quick mindful moment that you can lead with your child. It works with any age. And so you would take your left hand, so this is my right, but it's going to be mirrored for you. So your left hand, and you basically will invite the moment to settle in, which in a moment I'll do this with you, but having you just decide, how do you want to sit? How do you want to be? And then you're going to check in with your body, breath, emotions, and thoughts, just what you're noticing. Moment, and our moment today is just you could change the moment. Maybe the moment is like, let's take one breath together. Maybe it's an affirmation, a positive statement. Maybe it is, we're going to take that walk around the block like the keynote said too. Maybe we'll take a walk, right? So the moment you get to choose what that is, then we check out with our body, breath, emotions, and thoughts, and we close out, meaning we come back. Maybe if our eyes were open, they were closed, now they're open, or we look around the room. But that's just a really quick way of helping to lead a moment if you wanted to try this first for yourself, then for others. First for yourself, and then others, okay? So let's do it just for a moment, and our moment is going to just be, we're gonna do 2 breaths today. All right, so here's how this is gonna be. So go ahead and settle in however you wish to be. Maybe you sit back or sit tall if you want to. If you don't want to do this and you just want to observe me, it's always a choice. We never want to make anybody, right? This is always a choice. Maybe you even choose, maybe it's the first moment of the day that you have this time for you. And so maybe you even choose to look down. Maybe just find a focal point. Maybe you even want to close your eyes. You can choose what works best for you in this moment. And just begin to check in with your body, breath, emotions, and thoughts. Just what's present. Maybe noticing where the breath may be in the body. Is it more in the abdomen or is it higher up in the lungs? And then for a moment, we're going to take 2 breaths together. And we're going to breathe in possibilities and breathe out. And then breathe in anything else you need for your day. And then breathe out, letting your breath go back to however it was. And then you're going to begin to check out with your body, breath, emotions, and thoughts, just any changes that just happened in this short moment. And then we're going to close out. Maybe you take your time, and if your eyes were closed, maybe you open them, or if they were open, maybe you just look up and notice even a color in the room, just bringing yourself back. And literally that was, 2 minutes? And that was very quick, right? But that's also important to know, again, it's always a choice. And just to be aware that sometimes the thoughts go in other places. And there's no right or wrong to that, right? So that's a quick tool. Now this is moving from like a continuum of like reactive to responsive to proactive. The more we can be in the proactive space, the better. So again, we're going to learn some of those different tools to create more of a culture of presence, a culture of being. And then that allows for more of a responsive approach, especially if we have different types of emotions that our children have, versus having a lot of reaction. Now, reaction sometimes we have to have, right? There are some things that we just have to react quickly. But if we can be more responsive and have more structures in place to prevent the need for this, that's how we can continue to create that mindful home. So a little experiment for us here. So you will need your hands and you will need your voice. You can stay seated if you want to stand because you've been sitting a while. You are more than welcome to, but I'm only going to ask you to say your name and clap. That's all I'm asking you to do. All right, you ready? So when I say name, we're going to do 3 rounds. When I say name, you're going to say your name. When I say clap, you're going to clap. Okay? Makes sense? So practice round. Name. Clap. All right, good. We got this. Here we go. Clap. Clap. Name. 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 Clap. 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 All right. Now, round 2. When I say name, you're going to clap. When I say clap, you say your name. Let's do a practice. Name. Clap. All right, you ready? Name. 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 Clap. Clap. Name. Clap. Name. Name. All right, last round. Aha! Last round. You're going to take a breath before you respond to me, okay? And if you're delayed on that, that's okay, right? It's all right. So, ready? Your name is still a clap, so let me make sure. Name. Aha. Name. Okay, good. And then clap was a? Okay, here we go. You're going to take a breath before you respond to me. Got it? Here we go. Name. Take that breath first, right? All right. Name. Clap. Clap. Name. Clap. Okay, what did you notice about that? Why? Why? Why?
Time to think about it.
Ah! I don't know if you, have you seen this quote before? Again, I love this quote as well. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom, meaning, name or clap, something happened. You have a choice after here. You have a choice in that space between how we want to respond, right? If we take that opportunity for our mindful heart being present before we are having that response with whomever, spouses included, friends included, our children included, this is where we have a choice. Actually, you have two. You have a choice if you want to honor that space, and you have a choice on how you want to respond, right? So this is one of my favorite reminders as well, especially when there's a lot of emotions involved, and to help us stay in a regulated space to help our children as well. Any other ideas or thoughts or comments about it?
I heard the same thing, but they called it practice the pause.
Mm-hmm.
Just in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so practice the pause. Mm-hmm. So maybe this is another invitation after today. Notice how quickly you're doing a reaction versus how often can I need to respond, let me pause. You don't have to breathe in the pause, but sometimes that's the easiest tool we have because guess what? Your breath isn't going anywhere. That's also why in mindfulness, that's something mindfulness does not mean breathing. Breathing can be a part of it. Breathing is just always with us, which is why a lot of the practices allow us to use the breath in mindfulness. And it's also the one thing that we have that has naturally happened that we also can control. Mm-hmm. So again, these are a couple different pieces. I do want to, again, ourselves, I'm going to keep coming back to that. When we're in reactive and we have to do a reaction, the strategy for ourselves is really like our own regulation. Our emotions get activated during those times. Our response is how can we stay regulated? When we're being responsive, our response is that compassion piece. Compassion for yourself, meaning you have the right to take the pause, right? And then for the strategies for proactive, that's our well-being. So this is how we can continue to help ourselves. So the best gift you can give your child is your presence. So for about a minute, I'm going to have you brainstorm ways on how you can be more present with them. How is your phone usage? We keep talking about theirs. How's yours? Are we having different types of conversations? Again, I'm going to keep connecting back to the keynote. They kind of talked about what are some of those conversations to have. And if you have your child here with you, you can even ask your child for their opinion. How do they feel you're being present? And if you want, you can also share if you want to even talk to the people around you, okay? So take about a minute and just brainstorm, how are you being present with your child? Where is that at? Maybe there's even like a continuum there. Now I'm going to say, you said an hour, which is great, but sometimes an hour is really hard to find, right? And so have you heard of the 2x10 strategy? 2 minutes a day for 10 days in a row can significantly impact that relationship, no matter who the adult is, whether it's you or somebody else. Can we find 2 minutes to make a connection? Mm-hmm. And your 10 can be for forever. It doesn't have to be 10. But the actual research that was done, it took only 10 days for that relationship to improve. And I was connecting with a parent the other day, and I just went back to school. I don't get to see my child very often. What do? I said, have you recorded a message? Right? So sometimes we have to be creative in finding those moments when we don't necessarily have those moments. So now they have a routine where the mom was, she was doing a part of a reading for her story so her son could listen to it before he went to bed. And so he was still building that relationship even though mom was at school at night. So just moments like that. And the reason why this is still part of that mindfulness space is we have to have that relationship, and all of that is our presence there. Maybe you have a quick question or joke of the day. This is something that I have with my family. And this is something that just brings us laughing together, just those moments, right? And it could be the worst joke. It really doesn't matter, but it's a routine. You just said they have that routine. And maybe you have just an open question box. So this might be like maybe something happened at school and they want to talk to you about it, but right now is not a good time. Or it's also one of those, maybe there's a lot going on. Let's just write that question down, put it in the box, and when you as a family or whomever have an opportunity to connect, you're able to actually connect through that question when it's the right time for you to connect. Your signature time, so you kind of mentioned like probably when they're with you, they know, oh, this is my experience when I'm with you, and when I'm with Dad, this is the kind of experience I get. So what makes your time a signature time? What makes that so special for you? It's like your name brand. And then unplugged. This is a tool here. Again, the keynote was talking about different types of conversations to have. This has a whole bunch from kids, tweens, teens, and adult children, just to kind of have some of those different ideas. You can click on it and it'll bring you where you need to go. So, communication. Again, when you click on this later on, this is a script you can have and even practice if you wish. And it's listening mindfully. There's a difference between when I'm hearing you and when I'm listening to you, right? There's a big difference between that. And there's a big difference too with be aware of your body's nonverbal movements and remain neutral. So let's go with, if I had a child who was a teen and they were expressing something that happened and maybe they'd be like, oh yeah, I punched this kid at school, he like got me really mad and I'm listening. What if I'm going like this? Okay, yeah, that was great that you, was probably not, because what am I doing when I'm going like this?
Saying that was okay.
I'm agreeing with you just by nodding my head, right? So we have to be aware. So when you're listening mindfully, again, I was going to do an activity if you had your family members with you. So I'm going to challenge you or invite you to do this later today. When you're listening, you are not going to do a response. You're just going to be there. Try not to nod your head. You can have a bit of a smile because there's a difference between me listening to you like this, right? It's kind of weird, right? And me listening like this, right? It's a different type of open, right? So you are just going to have let the pauses happen too. How often when we are listening are we filling the gap? Maybe take a breath and instead of doing the clapping, pause and let those pauses happen because often that pause allows for that other person to be thinking through, no matter what age they are, right? And then at the end, this is important. You're not going to give them advice. You're just going to say, thank you for sharing your thoughts. And let that be. You can ask if you want, would you be open to another idea or another insight or another possibility? But now you're giving them the choice to say no. This is how we can be listening mindfully in that time. Now, if you wanted to make it a little less blurry, I can give you this one to take a picture of. Yes. Now, this one isn't meant for you to read from. It's meant for you to know, okay, this is a tool. I can click and I can download it. So I would encourage you to, sometime today, maybe once with your child and maybe once with anyone else in your family, would be a really good opportunity. So this was what we were going to do. So here's what it would look like. Parent, you would be the listener. You're just going to give your child 1 full minute. 1 full minute. And you're not going to say anything during that minute, right? And you can give them these prompts just to kind of get them going. So you can practice listening mindfully. We're not going to do this now, but just so you know what this could look like. The kindest thing I ever saw was, or something that bothers me is, or something that makes me happy is. You will just listen, then repeat back what you heard after that minute, and then switch. Have them practice listening mindfully to you too, so that they're not cutting you off either, right? This is a good form of that communication. All right, how is our timing? Okay, they said I can go a little late because everything else is late. All right, so I'm just going to say on this slide, there's some tools here, and this came from my children's book, one of my children's books. There's a teacher's guide. Guess what? You're teachers too. You're the first teachers. So in the guide, you can download it online. That tool is at the back as a lesson. Now, again, I did write it for teachers because I'm a teacher, but you are teachers too, if it wants to be shown, which it doesn't want to. But there we go. You have the different questions when there's a conflict. So that's where that came from. So with curiosity and openness, these are some of the different types of sentence frames that you might want to use. Again, when we are, mindfulness means here and now, with my body, breath, emotions, and thoughts, with curiosity and openness. So from creating a mindful home through our heart, how we're approaching our children is important in that whole aspect. We have to create the conditions. Our keynote also talked about these as well, very similar. So I'm not going to go through them. I just want you to see that there are ways, and maybe you pull one. Maybe you're like, okay, this week I want to practice, thanks for sharing with me. How did it make you feel? Maybe for the week you just decide, I'm going to ask them that question throughout the day. And maybe see what happens. Coping. You keep hearing me going with the body, breath, emotions, and thoughts. So we want to make sure that we have different tools to offer our children that help the body process through things, the breath become regulated, emotions to become regulated, and thoughts to become regulated. These are super simple. The shake it off movement, again, this one is good for it really depends on your child. You have to know your child, but you could literally just put on Taylor Swift even, shake it off, and literally just move the body, right? Maybe you literally just have them just shake it off, whatever's happening. In a moment, you're gonna see another tool, and it describes shake it off and other types of movements. So these are the titles of it, and these are how they look. Because I won't be able to share all of them with you, but at least you have them later. The breathing ball, most of you saw me out. You've probably all seen this, but this is one of my favorite tools ever. It's good for me too. But literally, it's called a Hoberman sphere, but even if you go on Amazon and you just type in breathing ball, it will come up. But this represents our diaphragm and our abdomen when we're breathing. And it's helping us to visually see the breath. So this is a tool for breathing that you can use and offer your child, especially for our youngers who need concrete visuals, right?
I've used the Apple Watch with my 5-year-old a couple times. She loves it. Like that, yes.
Any moving shape, Apple Watch, because that visual is you now can see something, your brain's processing, and then you can take action on it. We're teaching how to take action. The 5-finger breathing, again, you've probably seen this, but if not, I just want to make sure it's a really quick tool. Let's say you're out at a restaurant, youngers, you don't have your breathing ball with you. Breathing in, breathing out, right? If they don't want to breathe, guess what? You're tracing. Now my focus is on my finger instead of my breath, because maybe breath isn't feeling like a good choice for them. Now they have a choice of what they want to feel, right? Super quick. They can do both hands. And it's also a good distractor, star breath, or take a breath, whatever you want them to be, right? You can decide. And journals are great, the validation, affirmations, the power that those have. In my other book, I wrote these for every grade. I've read this with kindergarten, and I've read this in junior high. I've had adults read it. This is all about change and comparing us as a butterfly. But what inside here for affirmations, you learn a tool. Now I gotta get there. Even if you may not feel like you are courageous, your words are powerful and they can help you become courageous in the future. And then there's the tool for affirmations. And so this becomes something, I've had parents keep this book in their bag for our youngers, elementary and below, and they will take it out and go to different tool pages that look like this, and they will walk through in those moments on how to do it. And you can create your own I am word list. I am enough, I am important, I am curious. And we just heard again from the keynote, the inner self-talk lately is not very positive in our students, in our children, in ourselves. So we want to make sure that we have the ability to give them those tools. And check our timing again. Okay. And so this was what I was going to share. So if you click this, you'll be able to download the tools. If you ever have questions, you can email me at any time, okay? Breathe Like a Bear. That's basically different scripts of different breaths. These are great for our younger learners. Teens and tweens, I got you. Give me just a moment to see pictures, okay? One of my, actually, Matt Dwyer, he's one of my friends. He actually lives in Illinois as well. He just recently published the Mindful Breathing Workbook for teens. So this might be something too that you might be interested in. And then this was a resource that has all different types of tools for, again, teens and tweens on like different coping strategies as well. So you can click that and get to where you need to go. I'm going to skip this, but HEART, that was a part of my book as well. It's an acronym to help with mindful choices. You can always reach out. You can always reach out. I'm going to go a little quicker because we have only a few minutes, but calming spaces are wonderful. It helps with the regulation. And we've talked about you. But this, a resilience plan, I like to connect with families to create a resilience plan, meaning what are the tools that work for you and your family, and then how can you connect that back to what you do, and then you create that mindfulness practice at home. This is like a quick routine. So just imagine, I'm going back to like our littles just because sometimes it's easier for me, but like for our older kids, this also maybe think about like what you can do to embed into your day to bring you here and now. So maybe your child wakes up in the morning. They have their favorite stuffed animal. They're still laying down in their bed. They're going to have their breathing buddy, and maybe they take 3 breaths to start their day, right? Then they're going to get up, brush their teeth. They see themselves in the mirror. Maybe even together, you even write something on the mirror together, and it just has an affirmation for their day. That way you can even ask them at the end of their day, hey, how were you brave today if their affirmation was I am brave? What did you do today that you needed to be brave for, right? Then you're driving to school, or maybe they're walking with you. Maybe you play I Spy. So maybe you're like, okay, we're going to look for anything that is green today on our walk to school. So then you're looking around for anything that's green. Present, here and now, about the experience. We didn't talk about HEART, but that could be something if you know HEART and how they're making a choice, like, okay, how can we have great choices today at school? That way you are present and know what you're doing. Maybe after the day, you're picking them up from school, and any stoplight, you're going to stop, and maybe it's just you're going to take your finger and just like trace the circle around the stoplight. I don't know, right? You just like decide how can you do that. Maybe it is a different breathing tool at the stoplight. Maybe you're doing the 5-finger breath. When they come back from home, the mindful snack, maybe they take 1 bite and it's like, okay, what does it feel like, taste like? What is this right now with even just like their koala yummies or whatever? But you can kind of see how this goes, right? Finding the small moments, because not only is it for them, it's for you too. When we do it with them, we're benefiting too. And then celebrations. It can be natural for adults and kids to focus on their challenges. There are a lot of things that everyone faces, and sometimes you may need validation of your tough times. However, you can hit a point where it starts to hurt you if not enough time and space are given to the goodness in life. You can think of gratitude as a muscle that may need to be exercised so it can get stronger. So thinking about, like you mentioned, even at the dinner table, gratitude, or recording, what are you grateful for? Or that journal, what are you grateful for every day? This just takes you to a research article about the importance of mental health and gratitude and the research on that. And all of that together means compassion. So what is one commitment from today that you can do to create that mindful heart and mindful home? Maybe just write down just one thing that you can commit to from this. There was a lot. And then as you're writing it, that commitment, just letting you know, next week there is an Educating Mindfully conference. You still have time if you'd like to join us. It's open to anybody. The conference, there is a conference fee, but the resource showcase is free to all. And then you can also see just what COSM does for the Coalition of Schools Educating Mindfully. And then, for me, if you ever want to reach out, email me. My company that I have is called The Butterfly Within. And so it's thebutterflywithinllc@gmail.com. And if you want to just connect on social media, I do share out different types of tools, mainly around educators. But again, you are educators too. Wellness is wellness for all. And then I'll say, if you want to give me feedback, that QR code there is for that. So, thank you for attending this session. It was a lot, but I hope that there is just something that you can take away. Any questions, ideas, comments, or celebrations that you want to share, please do. Anything before we close? Okay, well, have a great day, and if you have any questions, I'll be here, feel free, and then I know I'm going to just be packing up for the next person, too. So thank you, everybody, for coming today. Thank you.